from you is there are so many subtle things in Photoshop you can do, and they make a huge difference. So we're live actually on the air right now. And
hey, everybody.
Michael has just been showing me a few really cool Photoshop tricks. And it's not the topic of the show today, but Mike, why don't you, sorry, Michael. Oh, wait, hang on. I got to mute myself up here. There we go. Stop that. The second play thing. Every week it'll do this. So Michael, you were showing me something. Why don't you quickly go into this before we get into the show?
So I was using this photo as a demonstration of one of the tools I've been using now is the blend if layer function, which I'm going to talk more, I believe, next week about. And sort of the first thing I was showing is a really, really subtle element is just the highlights were very strong on his skin here, and I wanted to tone them down. And instead of going to the trouble of isolating and specifically painting in and isolating just that spot, I isolated the highlights using the blend if function and made a curves layer and just brought it down there and darkened it. So it's really subtle things that you can do. But we were talking about real world applications of this and what makes it beneficial, what makes it useful, where it would be a go-to. And I was just playing around with an idea of you can isolate, I want the highlights or the midtones or the shadows to work with. I was looking at his white shirt with these black little lines, the black suspenders on. Okay, well, what if I want to change the color of the white, or if I change the color of the lines? And now the lines are red.
Huh.
And it's very subtle red. The suspenders are now red, but I didn't have to do much effort for this. It took no time on it. I just said, I want to look at just the shadows. And I made a completely solid red layer. And if I bring this back up, you can see I'm affecting everything with red a bit. I did a little bit of masking to soften it.
So the blend,
where it was hitting.
Just to clarify for a quick second, the blend if layer is what you're talking about. And you have the ability to choose the luminance that it.
I can choose where, what threshold this layer that I'm working on will affect in the image by isolating it based on luminance. So if I do an adjustment layer, if I do some sort of content in a layer and I only want it to affect the shadows, normally you would create a layer mask where you're picking which parts where on the layer that you're going to affect an image, and you say, I want to do it in the shadows. This is a really just point and click. I only want the shadows to react to this layer. So you set the slider up to, you drag it down from the highlights and it ignores that range of highlights. Now it's only working on the shadow area. Or I pull the layer the other way, ignore the shadows, I only want to affect the highlights. And it works up there. Now I've actually got this changed blending mode to soft light. If you see it as normal, it's really harsh.
Huh.
And there's the example of, I only want to affect the shadows. So I take that down to normal. And I just take the highlight slider and I say, let's ignore the highlights up to this point. And it's going to get a little crunchy in the details. So I alt-click on that slider and I can feather where that fall-off point is. And I have a nice cleaner selection of, I want to affect the shadows and highlights up to this area.
Very
and
cool.
You can see these little lines have some red in them. The suspenders have red. From there, I can paint further and get more creative, but this does most.
You can erase the major parts that are annoying and get them out of the way.
Yeah, like I made a layer mask to get this off of his face and off of these shadow areas where it wouldn't be realistic to see more red there.
Quick stuff, man. I got to learn how to do this. But you know what? Next week is a tips and techniques show, so we're going to get into some more of Michael's shenanigans with the computer, and it's pretty cool. What man, I'm learning more from you on editing than the past like 5 years combined. So it's gonna be cool. I'm actually really looking forward to November 6th for your composite class.
That's gonna be sweet. I'm looking forward to this shoot. I finally have an idea of what I'm going to be using for these photos. I'm just hoping I get a chance to do it. We're going to be playing with fire.
Ooh, fire. I know a few people who watch our show who would love to see fire shenanigans.
I hope it's okay. There, you're back. You just went black for a minute there.
What are you trying to say? Well, at least I'm not going to go there. But thank you. This is the Daytripper Photo Show, everybody. This is episode number 192. And it so happens this is our 4th anniversary show. Yay, 4th anniversary. Yay. What that means is we've been doing this show as of the I don't know, last week. And it's been 4 years. So it's pretty cool. We haven't done every week. We've missed a few weeks here or there. People are missing, other things going on, anniversaries, big events, things like that where we're all busy. But all in all, 4 solid years doing the Daytripper Photo Show. And we have new hosts and we have new topics and we have a new format and it's a lot more fun for me. And I appreciate everything that's going on right now. But you'll notice there's somebody missing from the show. And when there's only 2 people on the show, you don't see the little people on the bottom. You don't see the little thumbnails. You only see the big window. So just so everybody knows, our friend Phil can't make it tonight. Phil is a teacher, and he's got his little bones working hard trying to get his game plan all together for his teaching gig tomorrow, I guess. So, Phil, we miss you. Hope you're doing okay tonight, and we'll see you next week. Michael, we had a good day today, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We actually we hung out today, which is really cool. Random, considering you live in Toronto and I live up in Newmarket. But it was cool seeing you there in your element, so to speak.
I was sad not to see Phil, though. I still haven't actually met him in person.
Oh, really?
No, not yet.
Well, I mean, the face-to-face thing is fairly personal. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. He's a good guy. I like Phil a lot. He was with me on Sunday for the Birds of Prey class.
Yeah, I have to start coming along for these.
Oh, they're just awesome. Well, so tonight is going to kind of be a mishmash of things. Originally, we were going to have Navi and Gabriel on this week. This is my fault, ladies and gentlemen. They were both committed to being on the show tonight, and I didn't really have enough time to put together the proper Jeopardy show, and I know Navi was going to be calling it in from her phone on her way back from teaching. So it was a little bit, in my head, not quite prepared enough. So unfortunately, I called off the Jeopardy thing for tonight, but we will revisit that down the road. But we have some cool other things to talk about, and this is what we were doing today. We were at ProFusion, which is the Vistek camera show. Vistek is a major retailer in Canada selling camera gear. I work for Henry's. I hope Henry's doesn't fire me because I went to the Vistek show. Apparently, my former friend, I don't want to say former friend, used to be a coworker, Damon Vass, used to work at Henry's in Mississauga. I saw him there, and it was really cool to see Damon because he's now working as a regional manager, I guess, or a manager of a distribution company, and he seems to be doing quite well, although he called me a Henry's scammer, so I'm not quite sure what he meant by that. I think it was because, Henry's going to a Vistek show. Why would they feel weird about that? Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, we all love camera gear, right? We want to see new camera gear.
Come on, if Nikon and Canon can get along and Hasselblad and Phase can get along, then the people who sell their products may as well have tea together. Come on.
Well, I don't know about tea, but yeah, I get it. I get the sentiment. Damon was a good guy. I actually worked the Ottawa Exposure Show with him 2 years in a row. We roomed together out there. So it was good to see him doing well. Henry's has made a lot of changes, and unfortunately, a lot of the salespeople who had been doing very large numbers for the company for the past number of years are no longer with the company. There was a structure change, and it's unfortunate. Damon was one of those, but it looks like he landed on his feet, and he's doing quite well for himself. So congratulations to you, Damon. Good job. Now, the stuff that we did see there, I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit more in detail, but all in all, like, what do you think? I don't know. Have you been to the Vistek show before? This is my first time. This is my first time ever just wandering around a photo show. I've worked 14 or 13, something like that, Henry's exposure shows, but I was always selling, I was always behind the counter. I couldn't wander around and talk to people. Have you been to one of these before?
I think this might actually be my 3rd show going to the Vistek show, and I've been to quite a few of the Henry's ones as well. Not 13 of them, sadly.
Well,
I'd love to be able to work at one, but
yeah, they were interesting. They're not doing them anymore, unfortunately. But I am doing my own show next year. I will be Daytripper Photo does. Last year we had an exposure show, and this coming year we're going to have one, 2017. So fun stuff. Not quite to the same extent of these shows, though. I mean, these are big shows that they put on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah,
You have a face like you didn't expect that Henry's wasn't doing them anymore.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no,
This is news to me.
They stopped. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of resources. It's a lot of work running a show like that. And when a company is, limited people to do the work, it's overloading and overwhelming, and people were tired, and the return on investment I don't think was ever quite what it should be, and it just didn't quite work out. But you know what? I'm not a manager at Henry's, and I don't know reasons or things like that, so I'm just speculating. I'm just talking up my butt. Yeah. So anyway, before we get into the main part of our discussion, I just want to remind everybody, please join the Daytripper Photo community. We issue photo challenges. In fact, the current photo challenge is pretty cool. It's fall. It could be anything, fall. So this current photo challenge, fall, our viewers make photos and they share them to the community. And then the next time we have a photo review show, which is actually on the 19th of October, it's 2 weeks from now, that will be our final show in the third quarter, which means points will be tallied. Top 3 point earners will win prizes from Daytripper Photo up to a $350 Daytripper Photo gift certificate. Cotton Carrier stuff, one of our amazing sponsors. Of course, the Cotton Carrier Wanderer hip holster. I use this thing all the time, all the time. Every day trip, this is all I use. If I'm walking around the CNE, this is what I use. I've been using it for 5 years. I've been sponsored for 4. So I use these things, and I went to them to say, hey, you guys interested in helping out with our show? And they have been, and they've been amazing. So thank you, Cotton Carrier. One of our gifts we're giving away for one of the first, second, third place prizes of the third quarterfinals. We're also giving away the Cotton Carrier hand strap, which I saw lots of people walking around the show today using, which was really cool. Lens pen stuff. You notice I have all these really cool things right here. Lens pen stuff. Can we say enough about lens pen, Michael?
No.
I don't think so.
Except that I still want my peeps, even though I don't wear glasses anymore.
Anymore.
So the most exciting thing that I've seen, but
well, you still have glasses. You have sunglasses.
I still have them. I don't miss them. I plan on never ever wearing them again.
Well, next time I know I'm going to see you, I will make sure I bring you some peeps.
Awesome.
Sold. And speaking of us being twins, look at what we're wearing on our head.
Got my thinking cap on.
That's right. Now, I've heard through the grapevine, actually, you told me, you don't usually wear hats, baseball hats.
I don't wear baseball hats. I always wear this hat that I'm not even sure what it's called. I call it a Scottish hat. It's the little golfer hat.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend's dad called me a newsie. I'm not sure about the reference. Yeah.
Newsie are the old the old boys that sat on the corner with their bag full of newspapers and they're news here, and they'd throw a paper in your face, charge you a nickel. Yeah.
So I'm halfway between I love the look and it looks okay on me, and it actually fits on my big head. And I was surprised that the hat you got me today would actually fit.
Well, it looks good.
I'm not that lucky. Yeah, okay. I like it.
And these are from Sennheiser. Yeah, the color's nice. I like this little leather thing on the front. Anyway, yeah, so Sennheiser is one of our sponsors, and I saw them at the Vistek show and hooked a brother up. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty cool. Got one for you, Phil. I got to hook my guys up. That's all it is. So anyway, yeah, very cool. Lens pen, Sennheiser, Cotton Carrier, and of course, I didn't see them at the show, but the Sigma guys, Gentech Distributing, has helped us out like crazy. I mean, for the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 of the coolest Daytripper sessions that we do. I mean, first of all was the Island overnight session where we had all the Sigma lenses with fisheye lenses and doing the Northern Lights and doing Milky Way and all that. And then, of course, this past Sunday where we had the Birds of Prey session, which was awesome. The weather. I mean, Michael, have you experienced how lucky I am with weather?
I've heard.
Do you know what happens with Daytripper Photo and weather? I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been running Daytripper since 2008. That's about 1 to 2 day trips a month since 2008. I've only had 3 rainouts, and they're pretty much all outside. So that is pretty cool. So anyway, this past Sunday, it was supposed to be up to 10 millimeters of rain. It was supposed to be thunderstorms and all this other stuff. And of course, we get there, and it's misty. And it's right by the Ballard Horse Farm, which is one of the most beautiful horse farms you'll ever see. $500,000 horses. I mean, ridiculous animals at this place. And we get there and the mist is rolling in the hills and all the horses are running in the mist and playing and jumping. And a couple of the folks were taking pictures of the horses. And then one of them got out, which was really crazy. I don't know how that happened, but some of the guys in my group corralled the horse, or helped them corral it at least. Yeah, so beautiful rolling working horse farm hills in Tottenham. Awesome. It was such a great event. And of course, using all the Sigma lenses too. So thank you, Sigma. Thank you all the other sponsors for helping us out with Daytripper Photo and with our show and our prizes. And everybody, make your photos for fall and submit them to the Daytripper Photo community. And that's really how all this started. Join the community, be involved in what we do, and you're going to get a lot out of it. There's a lot of people in our community who feel that this is that inspiration that they need to get out there and make better photos. And that's what we're doing it for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so Michael, we've talked about this this show that we went to today. So the Vistek show, you say this is the third time you've been. I've never been before. So for me, it didn't feel like I'm used to the Henry's Exposure show, where there's a huge international center and there's vendors up 4 rows of people. Like there's 4 rows full of vendors, double-sided. It didn't feel like there was a lot there.
You know, I feel like the first one I went to was larger. It was back when it was in Mississauga. I believe it happened in Mississauga. It could be.
That's what Ross was telling me.
It's been a while back. The last one I went to, I was only able to go for a couple hours, but it was in the Metro Convention Center like it was today. And I think they've just downsized in general. But I wasn't necessarily disappointed that they didn't have much there, because I knew that we were going to expect really big things going on anyways. And I was more there for the conversation. And I both love and hate what I saw.
Okay, so you say that you went there with like a journalistic mind. What do you mean by that?
Well, this year was exciting for me in general, and I wish I would ever be able to go to Photokina where all the huge announcements take place. But I've had a few predictions of sort of what was next in the photography industry, and some of those came true this year. And some of those I thought might have come true this year, and I wasn't really getting clear answers on it. But it's a huge year because the VR world is coming together and integrating with photography. We've got drones upon drones upon drones upon drones. We've got huge advancements in the video world, huge advancements with photo. And one of the coolest things that I totally saw coming, and I couldn't wait for, and it's happening this year, is the medium format crowd is moving their way down to the consumer world. Well, what they call consumer, $10,000 is still pushing it. And the consumer crowd, like Fuji, is moving their way up to the medium format side of things. And I love seeing that push, because I'm a huge fanboy for medium format.
Mm-hmm. And for portraiture, it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just, there's a feeling that you get when you're shooting medium format, when you get to see the effect of the lens, the effect of such a huge sensor. And I was really excited about it. And I've used Hasselblads before, and it's interesting for me on the competitive side of things. It's something that I talked to Blake about as well. We saw him at the show. We're both huge fans of Phase One and Capture One and their proprietary software that you can use even if you don't have a phase camera. Hasselblad doesn't work that way. You need Focus, their proprietary software, or you can use Lightroom, but you can't use Capture One. They won't let Hasselblad in. They won't play ball. It's the only camera that can't use Capture.
It's too much of a competitor.
Yeah, it's a huge turnoff for us because we love that software. We live off of it, even though we recognize how good Hasselblad is as a company and how amazing their cameras are. So I went with a journalistic mind because I was looking at Fuji, at Hasselblad, and at Sigma. Sigma I was totally excited for because of their new lenses, and also a huge fanboy of them ever since the art line came out. And there's more than enough to say about that. But what got me excited was I went with a challenge to the Hasselblad booth today, saying, here's all the issues that your company is facing. Here's all the things going wrong right now. And I was being a little more polite about it. But here's what you're really up against. And you guys are awake enough to know that this is what you're up against. What are you doing to stay relevant? What are you doing to actually pick up after yourselves? And I got some really good answers. And I'm on the fence debating between, if I'm ever find myself wealthy enough to join the medium format crowd, do I want a Phase 1 or a Hasselblad? And my answer now is both. Because, and here's the funny part to it, Phase 1 won't play ball. They will not let Hasselblad use their software. But Hasselblad acknowledges that Capture One exists and knows that it's better. They know that they're getting totally B on the software side. So Hasselblad will let you use Phase 1 digital backs instead of Hasselblad's on their cameras. You can use all of the benefits of a Hasselblad is in the body itself and the lenses themselves, not necessarily the back and not the software. So you can use a Phase 1 back on a Hasselblad body and get the best of both. Since that's an option, even with their newest 100 megapixel medium format sensors, incredible resolution, incredible camera, all these features, I have to admit, I think Hasselblad's right. What they offer in a body is phenomenal. They have something called the True Focus system, which actually you'll find with a lot of lenses, you get different reactions out of them. But if I'm using autofocus to focus on your frame, on your face, and then recompose and I'm shooting beside you, or I'm aiming at your feet when I shoot, depending on where I am, depending on how the lens behaves, that focus might actually shift a bit, and now you're not in focus anymore. Their True Focus system locks onto your face and pays attention to how you're holding the camera, where you're positioned. So if you move and go to autofocus, you're not focusing on what you're aiming at now. You're realigning yourself to the point you locked onto. So you can recompose however you want, which is pretty much every shot I'll ever take. I'll never have the face dead center. You can recompose anywhere. You're tack sharp.
Is that like a sensor shift where the sensor's moving, or is that all just software?
It's, I think it's software. I think it's an intelligent feature they added to their software, where it's the same way that you can have things in Photoshop or in Capture One, Lightroom, where it will know what lens you're using, and it'll know, like, I have this much distortion and this much light fall off, so I'll add a vignette, I'll add some correction. I think it's like that, where it'll acknowledge how far away you're focusing and what the curvature of the lens is and how you've adjusted your angle, and it'll accommodate for that and say, if I was over here at this time, then I should do this adjustment to look like I'm still focused there.
Right. Well, technology, man, unbelievable. And that's cool. So you can use a Phase 1 back on a Hassie body. Now I was holding that. I was there, and that's one of the things that I was so impressed with, was I got to play around with the Hassie bodies, and
it just feels great.
Oh my God. I mean, it molds into your hand. I mean, it's just, these fingers go here, and you got a grip here, and you just like, it's awesome.
And it's so funny because I'm such a huge fanboy for Phase that I came with a vengeance. I didn't want to be impressed by Hasselblad. They've done a few things in the past that I disagree with. I'm very biased against them, but I've used Hasselblads. I can acknowledge how good they are. I didn't want to be impressed with them today, and I picked up that camera and went, "Nah, you still got me."
Yeah,
it's just great.
It's juicy. So what else did you like?
Sigma.
Okay, so you I didn't even see Sigma there. So you spoke to them.
Yeah, I went and saw Sigma, and I'm kicking myself, and Blake is laughing at me for it. I wanted for the longest time for Sigma to announce their 85mm 1.4 Art Series lens. It's just everyone that saw the Art Series come out said, when do we get the 85? everyone that loves that brand is waiting for it. And everyone's response was, it's not coming. Their other 85 is too recent. They're not even going to bother replacing it. It's not coming. So I finally caved and bought myself an 85. I got a cheap little Nikon one. Right after I pick one up, they announce it. They announced it at Photokina. They had one there today. Blake ended up getting a picture of me the second I held it up and tried it out on my camera. What a gorgeous lens.
Okay. First of all, there's no denying it. It's going to be awesome. 85 1.4 art. It's going to be awesome. But you say you got a cheap 85. Was that the 85 1.8?
Yeah, it was the 1.8G.
Okay, so for the cheap price that you paid for that, tell me it's not an awesome lens.
In my case, it's definitely not. Only because I've been having issues with mine. And I went and talked to Nikon, and I wasn't able to get it dealt with there. I actually need to send it in. But I need to send in that and my camera to fix it. I'm having horrible back focusing issues with it.
You just bought it, though, didn't you?
I bought it used. Actually, off of Henry's employee.
Okay.
It was a boudoir photographer, I believe in Mississauga, maybe. I just picked it up off Kijiji. I checked out the lens. It was good. Tried it. Everything seemed fine. But then going on shoots, I do exactly that. I focus. I recompose. I look at the picture. Everything looks good on the back of the camera. And then I realized I've lost half my photos. They're just not usable. I've missed focus, and it's absolutely killing me.
All right. Well, that sucks. Yeah. No, I thought you had picked it up from a store, and I was just going to say, bring it back, switch it.
Yeah. Well, not lucky.
Tabernacle. All right. Well, that's too bad. So you're going to trade it in? You're going to get the 85 Sigma?
I think I will eventually get the 85. I don't know if I can justify or afford getting it right away, and I've also got some other lenses on my to-do list. But I tried that one out. They also had I think it was the 12 to 24 f4 art lens.
Yeah, DG.
And that's definitely got my attention because I thought my next lens was actually going to be the Nikon 16 to 35. Huge fan of that. But 12 to 24, even wider, really nice lens. And
Time will tell. We'll have them in our kit. I'll give them all a good try. I'll let you know.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt they're going to be good, but man, the 1635 is juicy.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's this Fuji you're talking about?
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of homework on Fuji. I used to own a Fuji. I ended up selling it to afford my Sigma lens. But Fuji did something really interesting, and if I remember from the rumors correctly, they actually worked on it with Panasonic. But they had two advancements that were sort of changing the game for the camera world, and one of them was the X-Trans sensor array, which is normally digital cameras have something called the Bayer filter array, which is the red, green, blue pixel color filters that you have in front of the sensor, and that's how you get your color information. Now, there are some huge benefits to the Bayer array. There's also some drawbacks. There's certain optical disparities. There's certain things that you have to accommodate for, of just little things that can get in the way if you know to look for them. Or if you're not expecting them, then they really get in the way. But Fuji decided to do something a little different. And their X-Trans sensor array it's a 6x6 asymmetrical color filter rather than a 2x2 red, green, blue. They had like red, blue, green, green, red, blue, green, green across. And it's clever. It's asymmetrical. It's big pattern, and it solved a lot of problems that were there for the Bayer array. And they were fixing something that wasn't necessarily broken, and it was really, really nice that they did that. Another thing that they came out with that I believe this is the part that Panasonic was also working on is something called the organic sensor. It's this sort of organic filter, and I don't really know what organic means in this context, but it's another filter that they had and a way that they've developed their sensor that makes it obnoxiously sensitive to light, really, really, really cleanly reads the light. So the low light performance skyrockets and just blows everything else out of the water. So my biggest questions was, Fuji's coming out with this new camera, their medium format camera. What they had in the display case was just a brick. It wasn't even a camera. It's not even a pre-production model. It's just a little, hey, look at this new toy we might have in the future. And they've been really mysterious and really vague about what this camera is and what it's going to do. So my first thought is, this is the one. This is going to have the organic sensor. This is going to have the X-Trans filter. This is going to be the game changer. And these little advancements that they've made, these little elements that they've introduced to the camera world, are what's going to actually put them right in line with Hasselblad in phase 1 and just sucker punch both of them. I'm expecting this to be phenomenal low light control in a medium format CMOS sensor. It's going to be incredible to see these pictures. So I went up to the first rep that I saw, and I didn't catch his name, who I was talking to, but I went up to the first rep I saw, and I went, all right, here's my question. All I want to know, is he going to use the organic filter? Is it going to have the 6x6 asymmetrical filter array? And the essential response I got was, what?
You
had no idea what the organic sensor was. He had no idea what I was talking about, and he seemed very, very unsure of himself on whether or not the asymmetric filter was a thing, let alone if it was being used in the camera. I didn't feel like I got a solid answer out of that. So,
which is weird, because I mean that's exactly where you go for those answers.
Yeah, and I was a little put off by the fact that I'd done more homework on your company than you did.
Well, you know, it's funny if you think about it. I mean, they only have one brand to learn.
Yeah.
And we have all of them. So you would expect that, yeah, they should figure that kind of stuff out.
And it's your job to make me want to buy this camera. Give me something to talk about.
Yep, that's true.
So I saw a lot of cool things today, but that one put me off because I was excited to have that conversation. I wanted to know what kind of heat this guy's packing. And for now, it's just a brick.
Well, it's a pretty brick.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I know John Mitchell. I actually had a chat with him when I was there. He used to be our rep for Fuji, and he's a very good guy. He's an excellent guy. When he come to the store, I mean, he'd tell us all about promotions and this and that and so on. But no, I know where you're coming from. You just don't get a vibe of confidence about all their technical knowledge sometimes. But they have the guys named the Fuji guys. Billy is one of them, and so on. And these guys, I mean, they know their stuff in and out. And if you ever need technical support or these technical questions answered, I would think it's Billy you should go to for that kind of stuff, not just a sales rep, because, you know, it's a different skill set. Sales reps are salespeople, right? They have to deal with owners of businesses and, you know, talk numbers and incentives and so on. Whereas the technical guys like Billy and his crew, the Fuji guys, that's all they do is the technical product, and they help them control it and understand it and work with it. So I don't know if Billy was there. I didn't see. I think he was there, but I didn't really chat to him. I just saw John because I know John, right? So I guess a lot of it comes down to who you talk to. It's like going into a Best Buy. You know, you walk into a Best Buy, and one day you're going to get somebody who, you know, just out of high school or still in high school. They don't really care about their job. It's just a stepping stone, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to get the same service as a career salesperson who works at Best Buy, and he researches it and does his training that he has to do and so on. So everyone's different, I guess. Let's just hope that's the case, that the Fuji guys would know all that. But it's true. I mean, I was very excited to check out the Fuji full frame, or what do you call it? The medium format Fuji, which I'm very excited about. But the Pentax stole my soul. Pentax actually, I don't know, did you talk to the Pentax guys?
I didn't end up talking to them, but I did see you spend quite a bit of time there.
Yeah. Well, Ross is, I was there with Ross, And he is incredible to be around at these shows. I just like watching him talk to people. He's so graceful and he's so polite and respectful, but he has an agenda. I mean, he wants to review products, and going up to these guys and explaining that, you know, he's writing reviews for people, the photovideoguy.ca, if people are interested. He writes amazing humorous reviews with a real world kind of vibe to them. I should say real world is rough. I mean, Ross has more gear than Henry's does. And the guy, if you ever go into his studio, I mean, he's got one of each. You know what I mean? So maybe he has a few more things than most people would afford. But ultimately, he's funny and he knows what he's talking about and he has the experience. So I love reading his reviews. So he's going up to these guys and he's saying, hey, you know, nice to meet you, sir. You know, can we talk about your product? And he's getting into the back history of the gear. And I'm learning so much just listening to him talk. So anyway, we're going to the Pentax booth, and there's one of his old coworkers when he worked at Black's. And that was the gentleman he was talking to there, who happened to be, I think, one of the regional sales guys. You know what I mean? Those high-end, the guys that everybody else goes to. Yeah, Steve Davies, excellent guy. And we spent a while talking to him, and we learned all about the back end of the business. You know, Ricoh and Pentax, they're now one company. I explained how I originally thought that with Ricoh investing in Pentax or buying Pentax, there'd be more money involved, there'd be more market share, and none of that happened. So, in fact, in our store in Newmarket, we had all the Pentax stuff pulled back. And only a few of the stores carry Pentax, which is really disappointing because, you know, if I were to switch away from Nikon at this point, absolutely it would be to a Pentax. One of our regular viewers, Andrew, we always talk about him, joking about buying the K1, the full frame and all this. You know, it's funny, you could joke, but they make good stuff. Like, they really make solid lenses and great bodies and good features. And they have like a, you know, aperture priority, shutter priority. They have ISO priority. There's other really cool features they put in, like the tilt screen on the back that moves in all kinds of weird, cool directions. Super handy. If you just have your camera off to the side, you can tilt it out this way and tilt it up if you want to look at it from above. It's very handy, small little detail features. So anyway, I got to play with the Pentax 645 and another gorgeous camera, which I will never afford. But really cool. And I get why you would like medium format so much. We've talked about this on a lot of day trips where the larger the sensor, the shallower the depth of field. And when you're getting into portraiture and you want that really razor sharp focus where you want it, you know, lens matching and all that is extremely important. But having that larger sensor gives you that really juicy, shallow depth of field, that beautiful soft bokeh in the background, right?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense why you would go for that route. And Phase has always made good stuff. 100 megapixels is sick. And to use that on a Hassie, that's pretty sweet. So anyway, that Hasselblad, oh man, did that ever feel good though.
Oh yeah. And the touch screen.
Yes.
Camera with a touch screen.
Not only that though, it's actually a very vivid, easy to see screen.
Oh yeah.
You touch the shutter speed and you scroll up and down. I mean, it's so straightforward. I was impressed.
Like
Ross was impressed.
Using that camera, just holding that thing in your hand felt like Hasselblad was hitting on you. And just like, it's dowry. It's just like, you know, you want it.
Stop flirting. Down, boy. So yeah, I mean, all in all, the show was cool, but I was a little, you know, one thing that really caught me off guard was Olympus. Now, Olympus makes great stuff. Their 4/3 format sensor, it's not a larger sensor, so that kind of is one deterrent. Panasonic and Olympus kind of invented the mirrorless format, and they came out with micro 4/3 before APS-C Sony's and other brands. So sensor size has a big impact on depth of field. So when you're buying a 15 millimeter f1.7 lens on a 4/3 sensor, it's not going to look the same as a 1.7 aperture lens on an APS-C or a full frame or a medium format. The depth of field is going to look incredibly different.
Right.
Adjusted by the same rate of the size of the sensor difference. So 2 times difference in a 4/3 sensor case, 1.5 in a Nikon, 1.6 in a Canon, and so on. So when you have this limitation, you're not getting the same look anymore. And using these 4/3 cameras, yeah, they're great and they have sharp images and vivid colors and great focusing and they're fast and they're well built. You're just not getting the same look. And I think that's a part that people don't think about. But what really got me though, Michael, was the fact that they had the OMD EM1 Mark II that everybody wants to see behind glass in a cabinet that you couldn't touch and had little air holes on the top so it could breathe. Literally. It's very strange. I don't know cameras that breathe, but apparently this crate needed air holes for the camera inside that nobody could touch. And yet we could walk over and play with a $50,000 Hasselblad. What's up with that?
You know what gets me is one of the selling points to Hasselblad is that it's a little bit cheaper as well than the Phase 1. And I was looking around afterwards to test that theory. Even on Vistek's website, and I know Henry's sells Hasselblad products. Even on Vistek's and Henry's website, I can't even find these products.
Okay, so Vistek is only authorized to carry the mirrorless. Right. That's all Vistek has is the mirrorless Hasselblad. Henry's has the line.
So why was it at the show?
Because they were trying to show the mirrorless, and according to the guy, he didn't even really want to show the bigger one, but he had it like under the counter. So when people would come by, he'd be like, "Yep, look at this."
I don't know. It's cool. I didn't end up actually playing with the mirrorless one myself. As far as
pretty nice
goes, to have a medium format Hasselblad for I think 11,000 they were saying.
Yeah, I didn't see the price.
By those standards, that's phenomenal. That still hurts, but that bothers me that I can't find this. It's the H60 now. I can't find it anywhere.
Well, you can get it from Henry's Rentals.
Yeah,
you can rent it. In fact, with the Loft Studio, one of the perks that we have is that we can do rentals through Henry's Rentals. So if anybody rents the studio, you can call us up and say, "Hey, I want the Hassie to do the shoot."
What a day that would be.
And they would ship it to us, and it would be there for your shoot. And then you just leave it, and we'll ship it back. So that's a really cool perk we have at the Loft Studio. Little plug there. But nonetheless, one thing that we were talking about earlier is the new markets that are being made, the VR market. And there's so many cool products you can use for this. And I didn't realize it. Ross and I were walking around, and one of the things I really want to check out is VR, because I have an idea for Daytripper promo videos where, you put on the Google Cardboard or whatever device, and you can just look around and be in the day trip. You know what I mean? Like actually have birds fly past you, and you can look and watch it fly as it goes and things like that for our birds of prey or for whatever. So when I was there, I was talking with a gentleman, and his name is Paul Scott. Super cool guy, super, super, super generous, and you can tell he loves what he does. He has a business called Amicus Portfolio, innovative solutions provider is what he says. But anyway, you go to his website, which is amicusportfolio.com, and the link is right there to the VR Kicks. Now, VR Kicks is hardware, not software, but it's compatible with any cell phone. You don't need separate accessories to make it work. And a lot of these devices you get, you have to buy extra accessories. So you can just take your phone, pop off this lid right here, pop your phone into it, and bada boom, you're watching YouTube videos in full VR. And the thing is like $60, $59.99. So Ross is going to do a review on this device, and I'm very excited to see how it turns out, because for $60, you can really do some cool stuff. See, there you go. The phone just sits inside, right? And you just like a little spring-loaded clip, just like a selfie stick for a cell phone. And you can take off the back panel, which you can actually have customized with logos and so on them. So I'm really actually thinking about getting them that say Daytripper Photo on them, like on the front where it says VR Kicks right here. You can replace that with different logos. And super comfortable. You can actually adjust the difference of the eyes, and you can adjust each eye individually. So you know how some people have one eye worse than another? You can actually focus the eyes individually. Change the distance, as you see here, from the phone to your eyes, so you can make it very comfortable to look through. And for $60, I think that's pretty awesome. So Ross is going to do his review on this. Oh, and by the way, you see how you can shoot through it?
Yeah.
You pull that lid off, and your camera sees out this end. So you can literally...
augmented reality.
Exactly. So now we're talking about a completely different thing. And best part, guys, check this out. Yoink, it's a Canadian company. So
I actually tried one on while I was there too.
what'd you think?
It was interesting.
You can see the scenes.
I don't know how to feel about them, because I have to, like, when you're going the VR route, when that's something that you're interested in, $60 for that with that many features like that, just don't even bother looking anywhere else. That's a wicked idea. I want bigger things. I have huge expectations for VR, and it was a nice little flashy thing that they put on, but they put on this dinky little game to play that you look a certain direction and there's things that go by, and if you stare at this one spot, then it'll charge up your shot and you go shoot something, and you're like flying through space or something. And I was expecting more. I was expecting
you're talking
virtual reality, and it just felt like I was moving my head a lot. That's silly.
Okay, I have something to that point in just a second, but Blake is watching. He says VR, smart device, versus AR versus VR, PC console based. Which are you more interested in, and why?
And this is actually something that we talked about when I was using it. Was I'm a PC gamer. I like using the crazy hardware. I like the big graphics. I like playing these games. And when I think VR, I'm thinking put a virtual gun in my hand, and I'm going to go like actually move around and look around and exist in this reality. Where VR on a smart device is a new perspective. VR sounds like an integrated experience, and I don't get the integration as much out of a smartphone. And I'm wondering if that's just, here are the few flashy apps that we've used, and maybe there's more flexibility to it, but it doesn't excite me in that way.
So what you're saying, like, for example, you can put on the headset and watch a video on YouTube of a person flying a jet fighter. And really, you're just imagining yourself, or you're seeing yourself in a jet fighter, and you can look around and see out this window and see out this window, and just be in that environment. But what you're talking about is actually turning it into a gaming experience where you're navigating through courses and doing all that, because there were those there too.
Yeah. So the whole point of VR is that it's a point of view experience. So, and one of the things I expected as well. Now, Blake mentioned as well while we were there, really when you start the conversation on VR now, you think about the Oculus Rift as a PC VR headset, that it's 3D. What you're looking at, you're seeing, you're actually in the scene, which is a really cool experience. And that's the first try at it. It's just going to keep getting better. I think what bothered me with this was there's so much room, so much potential to even have 3D integration in the mobile device one. And it either wasn't there in the game that I was playing, or it wasn't noticeable, but it wasn't 3D. There was no integration besides just looking around. And it has its uses to be in a point of view situation, but it was all talk.
Well, I mean, it's still early in the whole phase of these things. One of the things this VR Kicks thing does have is the ability that, I don't know if you've seen on some cell phones, they have the ability that if the camera sees a certain ad or whatever, the ad kind of comes to life.
Yeah.
So there was like a rocket on a card, and he just aimed the phone at it, and the rocket came up out of the card and then launched, and then basically the pieces just fell apart, and it kept on doing like what a rocket would normally do.
I wish I saw that.
The fuselage and all that. I mean, it's very computer generated animation, but it's just a different element. But one thing that we talked about last week on the show, or not last week, the week before on the banter show, was this thing. Did you get to talk to these guys?
We talked to them briefly. Blake mostly did the talking with them.
So the Panono is a full 360 camera with something like 36 different images created from 3 megapixel cameras all around the device. Now, what we saw when we talked about it last time was people like throwing it in the air. And I mentioned that you have to throw a knuckleball because it can't spin at all. It literally has to go. And as soon as it hits a peak, it takes the picture and then comes back down to you.
And they were saying they don't even want you to do that now.
That's right. That's what I was going to say is now they're saying don't do that because if you drop it, you destroy it. And if it has any motion at all, it totally blurs the image. Now, we were just talking about a VR thing for $60. This thing is $2,200. And for $2,200, I put on those goggles and it was just like you were there. Like it was literally like you were there. Anywhere, no seams, no vignettes on one frame to the next. It was perfectly seamless all around. 4K video. So pretty cool stuff down the pipe. Now, if that becomes 3D, like true 3D, yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of really cool things. Blake says, PC, lack of mobility, I think is the biggest drawback for real VR usability. Mobile AR, texturing, the real world with different scenes, people, etc., lets you run around and play, or run around and game.
Yeah.
And they have software for your PC to merge, so you don't need to use their service, a la GigaPro. Yeah, see, that's a problem.
Yeah, so that's for the Panono there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to use their software to merge these images. It's proprietary software. So it's not like they say, here's the ball thing, here's your software, go have fun. They want, I guess, rights to your photos.
Well, no, what's going on with Panono is they initially offered that cloud service. I think the story went that they were initially offering it as send it into us and we'll do it, which is what GigaPro did. But people weren't a big fan of that. So now through the feedback, they decided, no, okay, we'll play ball. Here is the software to do it. And you can stitch the photos together on your own computer using their software. But they were saying there is still a benefit of using their cloud service where it's actually GPS mapped out where the photo's taken, what's going on, information about the scene, and that's all calculated into how it's being stitched together, which, as far as panoramas go, I don't know why that matters. It's a panorama. You're taking all the photos, stitch them together. But they're saying that there's a bunch of extra elements that go together, and it's beneficial to use their cloud service. I guess we'll see. What got me was the rep that was there had this iPad Pro, big screen showing off, and she was showing the photos of what was being taken. And of course, there's that warning of don't throw it up into the air. And I could see one of the images is you can actually see the guy with his hand up. And I made the comment here, I was like, that's the downside to using a product like this, is that you're always going to have that one awkward, like it's going to be this big, vast scene to show everyone, and that one awkward guy with his hand up in the air getting ready to not drop the expensive camera. And she goes, well, no. You can put it on a tripod, or you can go put it on this stand and go hide so you're not in the shot. And I'm looking at it, and you want to show your best work. Epson was there, Canon was there with their prints. They had amazing photos out on display. You want to see the good stuff, what make me want to buy this product. In the first photo I saw, I can see the guy throwing it up in the air. In the second photo I saw with the light stand, I could see the stand. Even though it was stitched together, I could see it. And even though it was on the stand not being thrown, I could see that there was a part in the photo that was stitched together that she didn't want to stay on, because even zoomed out, I could tell all the mountains in the background were blurry in just that section. You're saying this is a $2,200 camera? They're not ready. I was furious when I saw that picture. I was like, that. Don't show me this. Don't show me, like, you're showing photographers this. This is what we look for. I'm paying attention to your lines, and those aren't sharp lines.
It's like going to the Moab print table. Like, I wasn't even at the table. I was talking to Ross standing near the table. I look over, somebody's looking at a print, and I'm just boing, drawn right to it on that.
Oh yeah, that shine gets you from a mile away. We all ran over.
Silver metal. And you bought some, didn't you?
I bought the pearl paper, and I've always been a huge fan of pearl paper over silver. And it's And it's really just silver paper is colder, and pearl has a slightly warmer tone to the page itself, which I think is really nice for portraits.
Mm.
And I couldn't wait to get one. I've always wanted paper like that. I saw it on sale and I couldn't necessarily afford it, but I made a call to one of the clients that I worked with, and she had already ordered a print from me. So I just went, there, it's already paid for itself. Let's go.
That's awesome. That is the way you do it. I've been using.
Can't wait for that to come in now so I can finally try it out.
Yeah, no kidding. I've been using the ink press metallic satin paper, which is pretty nice. I mean, there's a really neat little sheen to it. Some of the wrestling stuff I've printed on it. The wrestlers like it, so it's kind of cool. But the minute I saw that Moab paper, I mean, holy moly.
And they had a good choice of photo. They had this really grungy, light painted, just so much detail in the scene, like metallic elements, wood elements, and just they're really showing where this paper shines. Pun intended. But really showing through the color and the texture of everything. It's so true to life looking through one of these pages, and it makes you want to print.
Oh, so bad. So bad. I want it.
Like everyone's afraid we're moving away from printing. Everyone's going digital, but you look at paper like that and you went, nope, not ready to give that up.
They had a 44-inch printer. Was it 44 or 64? It was freaking huge. It was it looked like a carpet. The photo was so big. And had a photo, I think it was the snowbirds flying.
Yeah, that was Epson's, right?
Epson's, yeah. Oh, man. Just so nice. And of course, Ross goes right over. Oh, I'm thinking of buying one of these. You know, like, come on, really, Ross? But that's okay. That means he can print for me. So cool stuff. And I highly recommend people go to these shows. If you like photography and there's a show nearby, the Vistek ProFusion show, if Henry's does another show, any of these events, they're just really great to go to because you can talk to the reps. You can make your own opinions. It's one thing to listen to us banter about it, but you know, being there and actually experiencing it and coming home with the literature. Now, Michael's going to be pissed at me when I show these, but one of the coolest things for me, absolute coolest things, because y'all know I do light painting, right?
Here we go.
Yeah. So a long time ago, a customer of mine brought in a bag full of gel swatches, these little packages, and I use them on my light painting sessions. So, of course, I go to the Lee booth, and what do they have? But a box full of these things. I'm like, well, can I have one? And they're like, sure, have one. So I took 3 of them, and these are awesome. So, you know, you basically use your flashlight, and where was that one I showed you, Michael? I wonder if I could show this again. Here we go. So it's not just colored gels that they give you in these things. And by the way, the show's open tomorrow, so if y'all want to go back and get one, that's cool. But they give you these funky silver patterns. Oops, there you go. And this is the one I'm going to have fun with. It's like a mesh. Yoink. Right? So if you're using a flashlight and you shine through the mesh, it gives you this neat kind of pattern effect, which would be really fun for light painting. So I'm going to play around with these things. They're going to be a lot of fun. And that being said, there is a Daytripper Photo light painting course scheduled for, I believe, the 30th of October at the studio, and we're going to be playing around with some really cool stuff. I've made some new brushes. I got some fiber optic material, and I've made new brushes that are giving me like a grass-like effect, which is really cool. So if anybody's interested, check that out, daytripperphoto.com. And by the way, the 2017 schedule, a lot of the 2017 schedule is already up on daytripperphoto.com, and you are welcome to check it out. I've already had a few people book sessions, which is awesome. What else have you been up to this week? Other than just this this big cool day today.
I had my photo shoot recently. I had my little surprise client on Sunday.
Is that the gentleman you were showing us the photo of earlier?
Yeah, that's and I've actually finally finished editing those and delivered them this morning. You want to take a look?
Are you allowed to share?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
What do we got here? This one is my favorite of the day, and it does not want to shut. There we go.
Oh, nice.
He was so much fun to work with. He was a charming guy.
What a great smile.
And we brought on, it gave me a chance to test out my new light. So I went right outside, nice bright daylight, overpowered the sun and got that right just on the road in front of my house.
So new lights, those are your Godox?
Yeah, 600 watt battery powered lights. Got this one outside as well.
Nice.
Just having fun with it. And we decided to do a bit of play. I got some of the photos that he wanted, like this. Got the outfits that he wanted, but then I decided to play around with the lights, do something more mysterious as I was setting up one of my lighting techniques. So I shot him from behind. He loved how cool he looked in this, so we requested this one as well, and the Mystery Man.
Oh, cool.
When I was setting up my silhouette. I couldn't resist. I had to do that one too. So it was a lot of fun to work with him. It was a nice surprise to get this client, and he was just great to work with.
That's always nice when you have somebody that's fun to shoot, can inspire you as much as the other way around, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. Good for you. I mentioned earlier I did the Birds of Prey session this past Sunday, which was cool. And again, the weather, I can't say enough. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. What did I do right in my life that I get such good weather? But anyway, something else I did on Sunday. So I did first thing in the morning, Sean John picked me up and we went over and set up a tent because we were worried about the rain, and the birds showed up and we had a great day. And as soon as the session was over, we packed up the tent, we packed everything up, and we bolted back up to Barrie where I was shooting for Barrie Wrestling. It was a new venue. It wasn't at Ferris Lane Community Church, which is a bit unfortunate, but one of the coolest things I've ever seen at a wrestling event happened. And it couldn't have happened anywhere else. I'm going to see if I can do a screen share here and show you guys what I'm talking about. So one of the guys that I like to shoot as often as possible, his name is D-Man, Daniel Iankernick. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm thinking that's it. And, of course, Justin Sane. Justin's actually the gentleman below here. You can't see my mouse moving around on this window. Hang on a second. Let me share a different one. Here we go. All right. And still can't see my mouse. Doesn't matter. So anyway, the guy below is Justin, and the guy above is D-Man. D-Man spent about, 6 months over in Japan wrestling, and Justin's been a model for me at Daytripper Photo Sessions and so on. They're all such awesome guys. So anyway, D-Man ran at Justin here, and Justin lifted him up and pushed him onto those chin-up bars. So next thing you know, whoops, get back here. D-Man climbs his way up on top of the chin-up bars. And, of course, the match is going on over to the left here. They're still fighting each other. It's a three-way match, so there's three guys wrestling. The other two guys are still wrestling. D-Man sees that they're still going at each other. Here you can see them coming into the bottom of the frame. And all of a sudden, he does a moonsault off the top and lands on these guys. And it was insane. I mean, no mat in a completely new venue, and D-Man throws himself backwards off the top of a chin-up bar. I mean, who thinks of doing these things? These guys are freaking crazy. So, I don't know. I love wrestling. I just love it because these guys are nuts, and they have no fear. And, so what if it's predetermined stuff? It's energetic and family fun. And, did you see the fan in the background there going crazy for these guys?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was literally a sellout that was standing room only, and it's really great to see a local independent wrestling group doing well, actually trying it and doing really well. They pay their guys properly. They always have the check ready for them. There's a lot of independent wrestling factions where they get all the money and then the guys take the checks and run. Sad to say, it happens. But no, Barrie Wrestling. If anybody's interested, November 5th is the next one, and I will be there. So will Blake, I believe. Sean John will be there as well. And it's a blast. I mean, seriously, if you have kids and you like, hockey even, go to this. It's only like $15-20. And it's awesome. It's like 4 hours of awesome. So anyway, I thought I would just throw that in there. It was just a really cool event to go to. It was a different venue, so that was fun. And get this, as soon as we show up, it starts to pour. So we're inside now. We're all nice and dry, and it pours. So this is my luck with the weather. Love it. Love it. I guess it just means that with Daytripper Photo, you're guaranteed good weather.
Knock on wood.
Oh, well. Can you hear that? That's my skull. Anyway, if anybody gets that movie reference, let me know. Do you get that movie reference?
No.
No. Okay, well,
Guilty.
Fast Times at Ridgemount High, buddy. You got to watch that one. Anyway, Blake says, best live action stunt work you will ever see on a nightly basis. Absolutely true. Blake shoots with me. And some of the things we've seen, I mean, we've both been almost taken out by wrestlers. I have been taken out by a wrestler, ran up to me and pushed me over and broke a 14 to 24 lens. But yeah, that was not good. But he paid for it, and he owned up right away. And I still see him. Actually, I saw him on Sunday night. So, yeah, good guys. All right, dude, anything else you'd like to add before we say sayonara?
I think that's it for me, actually. I had my turn.
Well, we had a lot of good chat. And again, it was really cool hanging out with you at the show. I know that I was with Ross a lot of the time, and we would kind of like do this and meet up. But that was really neat, seeing you and Blake.
Yeah, it was nice meeting Ross as well.
He's a good dude. Ross is a really good dude. I like him a lot. And we had great conversation on the car ride on the way home, too. We always do. It's always good talking with Ross. Okay, so remind everybody, the photo challenge currently is fall. And technically, I could use the D-Man falling backwards as my photo. But, nah. It could be anything.
I think I'm going to play around, possibly. When is this due?
Okay, so this current photo challenge is due on the 19th of October. So next week is a tips and techniques show, which, lo and behold, is actually supposed to be this week. Oops. But I flipped because I'm stupid. And so that's the date, 19th, and that's the third quarter final. So that's a big show. Guys, make your photos, get your points, because you're going to win some cool stuff. The quote of the show is by Youssef Karsh, a Canadian photographer. Awesome. He says, look and think before opening the shutter. The heart and mind are the true lens of the camera. And that applies to everything. I mean, you with your composite work. You're not just going to go click and capture an image that you see in your mind. It just doesn't work, does it?
No.
So you have to think the heart.
And I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, many of us have. But I mean, you do something totally different with your, merging multiple photos like the Eric Johansson and we should say the Michael Lane style of photography.
I'm still working my way up to him.
Yeah,
he takes the cake for me.
Well, he's definitely somebody to strive to be like. But I'm really, really looking forward to the November 6th session with you. I can't wait for that. There's still about 4 spots open for that, by the way. So people have registered. It's great to see. People are interested. And I really hope that we fill up those extra 4 spots. And that's it. We're done. Want to say goodnight, Michael?
Good night, everybody.
Good night. All right. See y'all next week. Bye-bye.
See you.